Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
Hello, hi,
Hello.
Bart.
Yep.
Hello, yeah, I watched your video, greatly appreciate it. I was paying 1 free,
Okay.
effective 1,000.
Where is this? Is this in
One,
Canada?
yes, it's in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay. 1,000 effective, pretty deep.
Yeah, pretty deep. One of the table just break, and some of the new guys just come and join my tables.
Okay.
Okay, so the situation is I was the small blind with ace jack shooter, which is ace jack spade spade.
Okay.
Okay, the middle position, the villains raise pre-flop $18. So
Okay.
three other caller calls, and I defense. I call my small blind.
So you say three people behind him call,
Yes.
18,
So
call, all in position, right?
yes.
And you
So I was
decide
the
to
first
call
to act. Mm-hmm.
in the small blind. Okay.
The flop is 4-7-7. 4 and 7 are spade, and the last 7 is club.
So 4-7-7 with two spades. So you flop the nut flush draw, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Spade, spade, club.
Yep.
So I check for my range because I don't know what the original ways the MP1 does.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to my surprise, everyone checks.
So it gets checked through.
Yes.
Okay.
So the turn card will be a, let's see. The turn card is 9 of clubs.
Okay.
So I still have the nut first draw. I check again. And the original raiser, he bet $30 into a $90 pot.
So back to our clubs. I think that I would be leading here the turn quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because I don't really see guys at 1-3. They're not going to check over pairs really on this flop all that much. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about the pre-flop raiser. And usually the guys from behind will also be betting a fair amount with hands that they feel like they need to protect. So 4-7-7 and it gets checked to like whether it's the hijack, the cutoff, or the button. They're usually going to bet
Mm-hmm.
like pocket eights. They're going to bet pocket nines. They're going to bet pocket tens. So when it gets checked through, I do think that you have a fairly good chance of actually coming out and betting on the turn and getting it through. And then if you get one call, evaluate whether or not you're going to bet on the river. I mean, the 9 is a pretty safe card here. I mean, it probably would be
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better if it was like a deuce or something like that. But it looks like the pot is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 90. You could probably come out and bet maybe like 50. I would maybe 50 or 60 here on the turn. And I very well might follow it up with a bet on the river too, even if I miss, because if someone doesn't raise the turn, you're the one that has a lot of sevens. You're the one that can have trip sevens, not a whole lot of people in the field. So that's why I would think that I probably would lead here quite a bit. But you don't lead. It gets checked to the pre-flop raiser, and he bets 30, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So all the other people fold, and it bet to be heads up. I check raise to 110.
So wait a minute. So MP1 bets 30. Everyone folds, right?
Yes.
And now you check raise. So your plan was to try to represent like a 7 through a check raise on turn. Is that what it is? You made it
Yes,
120?
correct. 110.
Okay. I don't hate the play. I don't know if it was your. See, here's the thing about the way that some of these different lines where a lot of people they don't realize that things can change, right? Like obviously it's much
Mm-hmm.
different. I don't know if your plan was to check raise the turn the whole time or if you were going to
Mm-hmm.
check and see what goes on, but MP1 bets 30 and everybody folds. Yeah, that might be a spot where you can check raise. If MP1 bets and somebody raises or it goes call call, you know, you might reevaluate what you're going to do. What do you think the preflop raiser has here?
I would think he had a overpair, like pair 8, pair 9, but nothing premium. Or like if he has something like ace king, ace queen, obviously he will bet the flop.
You
So
think
that's
he's going to
why
bet the flop with ace
originally,
king, ace queen
yes, I would think so
against
because
four
it's
people?
mm, that's one of my flops. That's why originally I planning to check raise on the flop if he foul a C bet, but everyone checked full, and on the turn he bet $30. That I don't really understand it because the bet is so small that I don't understand why $30 into a $90 pot, right?
Well, yeah, but I
Eh,
mean, he can be getting a pretty cheap price on his bluff. I mean, he's only, it only needs to work here one out of four times if he bets 30. If he
mhm,
thinks that everyone, for the same reasons that I had talked about, if people are usually going to bet for protection on the flop, then a lot of times
mhm,
they don't have anything. But yeah, I don't mind your check raise. You're just going to have to follow through with quite a bit of rivers. Probably not backdoor club rivers because I think that that might be one of his hands that he might have here. He might have some clubs, not
mhm.
club draws and things like that. So I probably wouldn't bluff a club at the end necessarily. Um, the other thing too is that when you just as a quick aside, when you said that you were going to check raise the flop, I'm not sure if I would do that. I do like the aggression, but
Mhm.
I don't see people fold over pairs here. So the
Okay.
idea for
Mhm.
you is that, like I think that when the pre-flop raiser bets on a flop like this into five people, he is going to be more skewed unless he's totally clueless to having a hand. The bottom part of that range being maybe like, well, you have nut spades, so it's very difficult for him to have spades. So a lot of times he's going to have a hand. Now, where you might change things is that if somebody in the field bets. Now, if it gets checked to somebody in the field on the flop and they bet,
Mhm.
you can very easily check raise because a lot of times their range is not going to be as strong. Now, they can have some sevens, a lot more than the preflop raiser, but they're not going to have aces, kings, and queens. If someone's betting like
Mhm.
pocket sixes for protection, they're just going to fold. Somebody could be taking a stab at it. So on the flop, I like a plan of check raising, possibly a field better. Not so much
Mhm.
at this level, the preflop raiser, because I just don't think you're ever going to get him to fold an
Mhm.
overpair. But anyways, that's a digression. You check raised 110, and then what happened?
The guy was hesitate and then he called.
Okay, so UTG calls. So the pot now is 220 on the turn. What is it, like maybe 310, something like that?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So on the river is a queen of clubs.
Queen of clubs. So backdoor clubs get there.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I asked first, and for some reason I just thinking that still he might have something like a overpair, maybe like pair 8, pair 9, some
Yeah.
not pair 9 here are both. But so I'm thinking he still maybe a small chance he had a premium pair like pair aces, pair king, pair queen. So what I did is I shove all in for all my steps.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, though.
625.
Here's the thing. So I think that that's where the flaw in your logic is a little bit, at least from what I've seen from low level games.
Mm-hmm.
When he bet calls the turn, I actually think he does have a fair amount of clubs. So when you take a look at a lot of the flush draws, a lot of the club flush draws that he can have, like ace ten of clubs, ace jack of clubs, ace king of clubs, king jack of clubs, king ten of clubs. Okay, with most of
Mm-hmm.
those hands, he's going to check the flop, if not all of those hands. Okay, so you've got that combination. Let's say that he's got eight flush draws. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
pocket kings and pocket aces. So there's six combos of each of those hands. Well, actually, you have one of the aces, so there's only nine combos. There's three combos of pocket aces, six combos of
Mm-hmm.
pocket kings. Almost all of those hands are going to bet the flop. So when you take a look at his bet calling range on the turn, because all his club draws check the flop, he has all his club draws when he bet calls the turn, but he doesn't have that
Mm-hmm.
many overpairs because most of them would have bet the flop. Even if he checks half his overpairs, he still is going to end up with like, even if he checked half his overpairs on the flop, and then bet called them on the turn, he still only has like 3 or 4 of those. So I think that you're actually staring in the face of a strong club flush range. Obviously, pocket queens gets there too. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe occasionally like he folds some overpair, but I don't think this is. Yeah, I think you're risking too much here against a strong range. If it's an offsuit club, offsuit card, I think it's much different. But here, I think that that river fits into too much of his check flop, bet, and call against the turn check raise range. Those two things of check flop and then call a
Mm-hmm.
check raise on turn. So what ended up happening?
Ended up he called and he win with king nine of spade, kings of spade, nine of spade.
So he called you're all in at the end with king nine of spades.
Yes, he hit a pair of nine on the turn.
Yeah.
But how would you play this hand differently? Like other than the three bet squeeze like pre-flop, like
Well, I mean, like I said, I told you I would probably check raise the flop against a field caller. I wouldn't check raise against the pre-flop raiser. I would lead the
mm-hmm,
turn, okay, more often than checking the turn.
mm-hmm,
When you did check the turn and then you saw what happened, I have no problem with the check raise, but I would give up on this river. I mean, that's how I change
okay.
things. Now, if you were to tell me that you knew the guy, you saw the guy's hand before the river
Mm-hmm,
bet, and he had king nine, and the river's the queen of clubs, of course I'd bluff the river. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for him to call that river there
mm-hmm,
when the clubs come in, when he doesn't have the clubs. It's actually
mm,
one of the worst hands for him to call with too because he has spades. So that means that you're unlikely to have a spade draw even though you have it. So your check
mm-hmm,
raise turn range is going to be a 7, right? It's going to be a club draw. It's going to be a spade draw of those bluffs. He blocks a lot of the spades in his hand, so it's even worse for him.
mm-hmm,
Now he does block at nines too. I think maybe where he felt like he's going to call down light was your river bet was somewhat polarizing because if you just had a 7, wouldn't you be scared of backdoor clubs? Even though your river bet is really like what I guess it's like maybe two x pot.
yeah, correct.
He thought you were somehow bluffing, but the problem is that like I don't see how you might not play. You might have the nut flush draw here on the turn with clubs. It's a pretty poor call for him, especially with his hand. But that's how I would miss. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I would um to 800 to 300. That's how I would think about that particular hand. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.